Fallen embers had given way to fallen snow, heralding fall's end and winter's birth. A new year was upon us, and I was invited to attend a party hosted by my good friend and mentor Ramon at his home, lovingly referred to as Stone Manor, the home for wayward party boys and lost souls. We met at an HIV/AIDS support group at the LGBT Center. He had taken me under his wing as his protege. Ramon was a wealthy retired businessman and an outspoken advocate, docent, and volunteer for the LGBT community who also happened to be a local dealer in town. Ramon was also an active member of what I like to call the GPS, the Gay Protective Services. One need only to reach out to another within the LGBT community and a random act of kindness or aid to procure membership. Ramon firmly believed that we seniors have a responsibility to look out for and watch over the freshmen, as we all need a little direction in our path from time to time, gaying it forward as it were. The New Year's party started at 8:30 p.m. sharp-ish. I invited David to join me as my plus one, only to be stood up. However, I was able to arrive by 9 p.m. The party was in full swing, as the food had been catered, the alcohol was well stocked, and the place was packed to the rafters with all walks of life from virtually every clique within the LGBT community. The party was a rousing success. Ramon was happy with the turnout. However, it was curious to note the persons who RSVP'd a resounding no. They never felt accepted by the gay elite, and most leaders within the LGBT community, as many would look down upon him as the dregs of society. These were the very same people who were not afraid to take his money when donated to causes they ran, accept his help when short-staffed, while taking every chance they could to denigrate his contribution with fastidious slander, rumors, as they were also his active character assassins. Half of these community leaders, standing side by side with the moral majority, did not get their nosebleeds from the lofty heights of moral authority alone, as they were also Ramon's clients. Ramon always used to say that it is none of your business what others say or think about you. What you think about yourself will ultimately become your reality. Reflecting on this philosophy, I am reminded of the words of Buddha. If you cast a hot coal at your enemy, whether or not you hit the intended target, you're the one getting burnt. As they say, people in crystal houses. I suppose he presented a threat to the fake folk who had much to hide and reputations to uphold. And if you're not careful to live your truth, you may find yourself living someone else's lie, as you'll develop a condition of the reputational fray. Round about 1:30 a.m., the party began to wind down, and I opted to stay behind to help clean up. As the last of the guests had left Stone Manor, the elite P&P, party and play folk, began to trickle in vis-a-vis the back door to pick up a few party favors, drugs, as their respective after New Year's sex parties were underway. Ramon had not taken offense to their fashionably late entrance, as he was one to understand human frailty rather than judge it. A gentleman by the name of Keith, a 45-year-old salt-and-pepper, tall, dark, and handsome daddy type, had dropped by to pick up a few favors for the gathering at his place. Keith was a well-to-do senior vice president at a major financial institution and an active board member of the local LGBT Republican chapter. He introduced himself to me and invited me to his party. Jokingly, I blurted out I might even find my MIA, David, plus one, David there. Keith responded by confirming that David was already attending the party. The bitch stood me up. I received an ominous glance by Ramon. I asked if it was okay for me to go with Keith, to which Ramon replied, "Of course, you girls have fun." Though he was excited for me, he was quick to tell me to call him should anything happen or should I need his help. I began to wonder if there was something I needed to know about Keith before I left. Ramon informed me that Keith was hosting a sex party that apparently was advertised and sponsored by BarebackRoughTrade.com as a come reunion party. Since his screen name only revealed faceless shots of his perfectly chiseled body and well-hung endowment, many online goers requested invitation to the party. Keith ultimately had the last word and he was able to attend. Ramon simply cautioned me to be careful with this one, as his parties are known to get out of hand. Come reunion parties are notorious for hosting P&P AIDS assassins and bug chasers alike. AIDS assassins are untreated HIV/AIDS infected men who willfully and with full knowledge infect others as a means of sharing the bug. Masked under the lure that one can experience all of the free love and drugs of brotherhood of positive sex without thought of or concern over consequence. Many bug chasers are all too happy to become inducted into the ranks of the infected by becoming the party cum dump. Many of these bug chasers are young boys toiling under the dysfunctional delusion that when they get infected, they could simply collect disability, not have to work, and PMP the rest of their lives away like the older generations seem to be doing. It is a lie, and one that becomes all the more appealing when inhibition has completely left the picture which portrays a life of unfettered escapism. With that, I was more resolved than ever to rescue my friend David, and on my way to Keith's two-story Tudor overlooking Zilker Park. A manicured landscape and quiet exterior masked the debauchery that lay behind the red front door. Keith led me through a long hallway and down a flight of stairs into a fully finished basement sex dungeon. Billows of smoke and the dank effluvium of sweat and sex filled the air, as throngs of leather daddies and oiled-up boys were all connected to someone by something at every turn. Groups of 3 to 5 men were in and out of side rooms and toilet stalls, were slammers, IV drug users, were too happy to share needles believing that bleach and water solution can prevent Hep C infection. It does not. I was instructed to remove my clothes at the door and grab a towel and join the fun. My eyes were fixed through the darkness and the soft blue glow of the porn projected by the plasma screens, on the hunt to find my friend. Past the slings, centrally placed in the dungeon, and beyond the rim chairs where awkward body placement had forced many men into performing their own version of Cirque du Soleil, there I found David, struggling to exit a packed bathroom full of men who had just slammed David with a speedball, a dangerous mix of heroin and methamphetamine often resulting in heart failure. Before I could say a word, David began to vomit and convulse. The men in the room were too occupied, and I used that word correctly, occupied, to notice or even care, as doing anything to help my friend would place everyone there in jeopardy of being arrested. I was not going to leave my friend behind as a casualty of war, so I picked him up and escorted him to my car. Naked, shivering, pale, thin, face sunken in, and covered in rash from head to toe with only my peacoat to shield him from the cold, I rushed him to Brackenridge Hospital ER. I admitted him and waited in that ER lobby all night. I called Ramon to tell him what had happened and to ask that he help my friend revive over the next few days. Ramon was more than happy to help as he had anticipated this outcome. I received 5 missed calls from Keith. I obliged him with a text. You bastard. All the sex and drugs in the world will not placate the void of your soul because you do not have a soul to care at all. David is my friend and you will never contact him or I again. I never heard back from Keith. Rain turned to hail as the night went on, and all I could think to ask myself is, what have I done?